Peace. Infinite waters, diving deep once again. Beautiful deep divers. I woke up like this, all magical and fly, just, whoa, breathing in that good ass prana, baby. That was so healthy. Raising the frequency, raising the vibration, sending you all tons of good ass energy. Take that, take that, take that. The cat down the road said you received it. Look, deep divers. Brazil just had like the biggest police raid in its history, okay? Leaving over 100 people dead, over 132 people dead. And I got friends in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, and they're like, Ralph, it's crazy. It's on fire. The city is really chaotic. And we're going to talk about things they're not telling you about this police raid in Rio de Janeiro, right? That left over 132 people dead in the favelas. There's a lot to talk about. This information I'm going to share with you, deep divers, is not only going to blow your mind, it's also going to empower you to become your greatest version, because we're also going to talk about civil war. And that's what's happening in Brazil, how to overcome it to become your greatest version. Smash the like button right now if you support the real. Smash the like button right now, deep divers, if you support the real, because we got a whole lot to talk about. And let me just say this, deep divers. If you are watching this video, a lot is happening in the world. Like I told you, you had a hurricane in Jamaica. Biggest police raid ever in Brazil. A lot is happening right now on the planet. This is your confirmation. Something good is coming your way. If you're ready to receive it, just say thank you. And let me say a big shout out to everyone who's joined the YouTube membership. Click join down below. Join the brand new Patreon page for all new exclusive content. Over 250 videos there. Click the link down below, deep divers. Go and get the Bible of becoming your greatest version. Feel alive too. Unlock your infinite power. The secret recipe to becoming your greatest version. Now out on Amazon and at ralphsmart.com/thebook. Click the link down below, deep divers. Hey, aí, como vai você? I've been to Brazil. I absolutely love Brazil. Love Brazil. Beautiful culture. Beautiful place. Beautiful food. Beautiful people. The karaoke's in Rio. Amazing. I got friends in Rio. But what happened really kind of shocked me to say, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And we ain't even had breakfast yet. Can I get a hello there? So I've been hearing about, like, you know, this war, this civil war that's been going on in Brazil between like the police and the people in the favelas, right? Because when you go to Rio de Janeiro, there are a lot of people living in the favelas. In fact, it's 1 in 4, right? We're talking about 1.5 million people who are living in these slums, these favelas, and they've got like gang leaders who are in charge of it. And there have been these conflicts between the police and the people in the favelas, like going on for decades, right? Well, a few days ago, they had the biggest raid ever. The police went in there and they just terminated over 132 gang members or people, even civilians. Some people were innocent, right? Just minding their business, but they got caught in the crossfire. Things they're not telling you. First and foremost, deep divers, let me play you the news report. Then we're really going to dive into it, okay? Let's go.
Gunfire, charred cars, bodies lining the streets after police carried out the deadliest police operation in Brazil's recent history. Over 2,000 armed forces flooding impoverished neighborhoods in northern Rio de Janeiro. The governor saying they seized weapons, drugs, and arrested roughly 80 alleged gang members. At least 132 people killed, including 4 police officers, according to the government. Officials in Rio de Janeiro say this is a necessary, quote, war against so-called narco-terrorists. It is the beginning of a great era, says Governor Claudio Castro. But not everyone agrees. Tawa Brito's son is among the dead. They haven't changed anything, she says. I just want to take my son out of here and bury him. Here, there are a lot of people crying, but outside, there are a lot of people applauding what they did, which was a massacre. According to state officials, police were targeting Comando Vermelho, CV, or the Red Command, one of Brazil's oldest and second largest gang. Brazil has struggled with gang activity for decades. The U.S. State Department has a level 2, exercise increased caution, travel advisory for Americans due to crime and kidnapping. Tuesday's operation seemingly carried out by Rio de Janeiro alone. President Lula was shocked by the number of deaths in Rio de Janeiro, says Brazil's Justice Minister Ricardo Lewandowski.
In my opinion, with the governor of Rio, when we're seeing him unleash this extraordinarily lethal attack, I actually think this is downstream of President Trump's strikes on alleged drug boats in the Caribbean and Pacific. So we've seen those strikes now claim 57 lives, no evidence publicly furnished so far. It's sending the message that other governments should shoot first and ask questions later. Now, that's something that Brazil already has a tradition of doing. I mean, we're talking about a country where the police kill 4,000 to 6,000 people every year.
Ellison Barber joins us now in studio. So, Ellison, what is the UN saying? They usually monitor incidents like this.
Yeah, so the UN's Human Rights Office says they are horrified by this. In a post on X, they wrote in part, quote, "This deadly operation furthers the trend of extreme lethal consequences of police operations in Brazil's marginalized communities." Rio de Janeiro is actually set to host a number of events related to the UN's climate summit, COP30, one of those events. It's set to begin on Monday, and organizers for that event, which includes Bloomberg Philanthropies, they say they're expecting hundreds of governors, mayors, and subnational leaders to be in Rio starting Monday.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on...
Right, so I wanted to give you some context. So it's really crazy in Rio right now, okay? And a lot of people are shocked because this is Brazil's biggest police raid ever in its history, okay? And of course, you got people who have lost people, and I'm sending good energy to everybody in Brazil right now, everybody in Rio, because you see, it's not just affecting Rio, it's also affecting the whole world. And conflict is never a good thing. I've been to Brazil, deep divers, and all around Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, Cidade Maravilhosa, right? Cidade Maravilhosa, the marvelous city. I've been to Salvador, Bahia. Amazing place. Capoeira, doing that on the beach. Amazing people. And actually, Salvador has like the second biggest black population behind Nigeria. A lot of culture. Candomblé, right? I've been to Fortaleza, Recife. And one thing I noticed when I was in Rio is that even when I was in Rio, staying with friends, I was hearing shootings in the favelas, right? And she's like, okay, here we go again, right? So in Brazil, a lot of the karaokes, they get used to it. But at the same time, they want it to stop. But a lot of people don't know how it's going to stop because you see, the favelas are huge, right? And they are governed by people. The government will call them gangs, right? And they have their own laws inside there. And the police, if they go inside there, there's always going to be conflict. They don't want the police in there. So you got this kind of civil war right now in Brazil. And the thing is, like, the Brazilian government don't really want to show the whole world, like, hey, we're going through this civil war all the time. They want to clean it up, but it's impossible to do that. And the kind of images they show you of Brazil, it's like Christ the Redeemer, they show you this kind of paradise, Ipanema Beach, Copacabana, right? Leblon, all of these places, and it seems like a fairy tale, but behind the scenes, this is happening. Behind the scenes, this is happening. And a lot of people, some people are saying this is a good thing to clean up the favelas and the people who are there. And some people are saying, actually, this is a massacre. Like, they shouldn't have gone in there, right? So I always tell you, be on the side of truth. Because once you remind yourself that it all goes back to the colonization of Brazil itself by the Portuguese. Once you know your history, you realize that's how this all began in the first place, because when you had slavery and all of these things, people were pushed into the favelas, right? And take a look at this. These are the favelas, okay? Once again, 1.5 million people in Rio de Janeiro live in a favela. And a lot of people, you can see it when you're passing it by, from the airport. But it's a large community of people in the favela, and a lot of them are so friendly, so polite. Of course, you have criminals like every other city, but this is a side of Brazil that you don't see in the media, right? You don't really kind of see it all the time. It's a kind of side of Brazil they're kind of hiding. And a lot of people who go to Brazil, they only stay in Ipanema, Copacabana, the tourist places. Some people go to the favelas. Some people go to the favelas, but this is a side of Brazil which it's a hidden side. It's a whole nother world, right? And that's the war that's happening right now, because you got the police, the governor of Rio saying, hey, we got to, clean it up. I'm going to play you a video of a guy who lives in Brazil and hear his perspective, right? So let's hear his perspective.
Have seen what is happening in Rio right now. It's a massive police and military operation happening in the favelas. And the reality on the ground is horrific. The last few days, operations in places like Complexo do Alemão and Penha resulted in over 120 human lives lost. The numbers are getting higher and higher. This is a massacre and a policy of extermination. We need to look at who is responsible. The governor of Rio de Janeiro, Cláudio Castro, has publicly defended these actions, even calling the operation a success. But when you authorize an aggressive incursion with intention to kill, and your strategy is simply to rack up a body count, it stops being a security plan. It starts being murder. And let's be clear about the systems at play. When a young black person grows up in a favela, facing racism, inequality, a total lack of investment in education opportunity, the path to real work is often blocked. For many, joining a criminal group tragically becomes the most viable economic option. Even for those involved, their existence is a symptom of massive failure in our state. Military violence is the final brutal step in a cycle of neglect. You can't solve crime by murdering the symptoms. Going in with the idea to kill doesn't fix a damn thing about this systemic crime in Brazil. We need to address the root. Give this community's real education and opportunity, so children have a chance to walk a different path. We need to demand that Governor Castro and those who ordered this stop this policy of massacre. Cláudio Castro, this is not security. This is state murder. The shame of this bloodshed is on your hands, and this has to end. You guys might have seen.
Right, so I wanted to give you that other perspective. Some people are saying it's totally out of order. And what he said makes sense, that you can't go and raid a whole favela, and even if you kill hundreds of people, it's not going to stop what's happening. It's just addressing the symptoms, but not the underlying cause. What are some of the causes? Lack of education, unequal opportunities. When I was in Rio, one thing I noticed is that some people are living really good. Like, the gap is huge. The wealth gap is huge. You got some people living in penthouse suites and just by the beach. Everything is gravy. Everything is beautiful. And then you have some people who are living in slums, total poverty. And in Brazil, you have this where the gap is huge between the wealthy and the poor. And of course, this is always going to breed a situation like this. I'm sending peace to everybody in Brazil. Now, become your greatest version, deep divers. You got to remind yourself, conflict is happening not just in Brazil, but all around the world. And civil wars are brewing, even in America, between the left and the right, all of these things. And in Brazil, it seems to be happening right now, between the police and the gangs and whatever. And one way to overcome civil war, is to focus not on us against them, but on one humanity. Slow motion this side. One way to overcome civil war is not us against them. It is on one humanity. You have to start seeing the humanity, because once you realize that actually, yes, there might be criminals in the favelas, okay, but they have to be educated. And you have to also realize that the situation in Brazil is not just, it didn't just start 20 years ago. It started with the transatlantic slave trade, with the Portuguese colonizing the whole of Brazil. And of course, you had people, slave owners, putting people in slums. They didn't have a chance. So they turned to crime and all kind of things. And this is where we are right now. So you have to study history to find the solutions. The solutions aren't going to just come if you just look on the surface. You have to realize that inequality in Brazil is due to everything that happened with colonization in the past. And once again, we sometimes see these images of Brazil, you know, people just chilling on the beach. And yes, that's one side, but you're not also seeing the other side of Brazil. And this is the side that has to be addressed. You know, sometimes you see people in the samba carnival, right, in Rio. And I've been to the carnival in Rio. I've been to the carnival in Salvador, right? Amazing energy, amazing people, amazing culture, amazing vibrations. But also there is another side of Brazil that has to be faced. And now it's just reared its ugly head for the whole world to see. This awful massacre, over 132 people killed, and 4 police officers. Terrible day in Brazil, right? It comes back to resolving conflict. And you have to remind yourself, if you want to stop a civil war, you have to find peace within yourself first. If you want to stop any war, you have to find peace within yourself first. And this is really the solution to Brazil's problem. We need education in Brazil. We need equal opportunities in Brazil. We need the police to start seeing people in favelas as human beings in Brazil. And then there can come a day when all of this can go away. Deep divers, send some good energy to everybody in Rio de Janeiro right now and Brazil. If you're ready for that, smash the like button right now if you support the real. Smash the like button right now if you support the real. And that's why I'm just saying, wait a second. Join the YouTube membership, Deep Divers. Click join down below. Join the brand new Patreon page for all new exclusive content. Patreon.com/RalphSmart. You want a one-to-one consultation with me so I can help you become your greatest version? Book a session at RalphSmart.com/one-to-one sessions. Go and get the brand new book, Deep Divers. Feel alive too. Unlock your infinite power by Ralph Smart. The secret recipe to becoming your greatest version. Now out on Amazon. And at ralphsmart.com/the book. Click the link down below and go and get the good ass Prana shirts. All new designs you're going to love, Deep Divers. ralphsmart.com/clothes. Click the link down below. Gandhi once said, an eye for an eye and the whole world goes blind. That's why I'm just saying, feels so good to be alive, baby. Can I get a hello there? Once again, I'm sending peace to everybody in Brazil. It is a truly beautiful city, but you have to remind yourself there is another side. There is another side to Brazil. And that's this. And you can act like it's not there. It doesn't exist, but it does. And it's not going to go away until people start seeing the root cause of why it's actually happening. Infinite Waters, diving deep once again. Stay well, stay healthy. Peace. Yo! Once again, deep divers, smash the like button right now if you support the real. Share the video, subscribe to the channel. Once again, hit the like button right now if you support the real. Share the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below of gratitude and appreciation. One love. Peace.